Admiral Kexathera stared at the main screen as another coalition ship exploded into bright flames. The Vorac machines were winning again. They always won. For 300 years, the machines had been eating planets and turning them into more machines. Now only a few worlds were left free. "Sir, the defense fleet at Kepler Prime just went silent," said Lieutenant Hara from her station. Her blue skin had turned pale with fear. "That's the 15th system we lost this month." The Admiral's clawed hands gripped his chair tighter. He was a Saurian, tall and covered in green scales like his ancestors who once ruled the jungle worlds. But even his warrior people were losing hope. The machines learned too fast. Every time the Coalition found a new weapon or strategy, the Vorac adapted within days. Dr. Vailana walked onto the bridge carrying her research pad. She was a Kethari, scientist with 6 fingers and large black eyes that could see things others missed. She had been studying old records for months, looking for anything that might help them win. "Admiral, I found something strange in the archives," she said quietly. "There are stories about a race called humans. They lived in a system called Sol, far from here. The records say they once fought impossible battles and won." Captain Jinwoo, the Admiral's tactical officer, shook his head. "Stories won't save us now, Doctor. We need real weapons, not fairy tales." But Vailana opened her pad and showed them star charts. "These aren't just stories. Look at this data. The humans had technology we've never seen. Ships that could move in ways our physics say is impossible. And then, 800 years ago, they just disappeared." Admiral Kexathera looked at the charts. The Sol system was marked at the edge of known space, in a region no one had explored for centuries. Even if these humans were real, they're probably dead by now. 800 years is a long time. "Maybe," Vailana said. "But what if they're not? What if they're hiding?" The last records mentioned something called Project Sanctuary. The humans were preparing for a great war that hadn't started yet. Another explosion lit up the screen. The Vorac fleet was getting closer to their position. Soon they would have to retreat again, leaving another world to be consumed by the machines. "Sir, we're getting reports from all sectors," said Commander Hayo from communications. "The machines are everywhere. They're moving faster than before, like they know we're almost finished." Admiral Kexathera closed his eyes for a moment. His people had fought bravely for so long. The Saurians, the Cathari, the blue-skinned Altarans, and dozens of other races had stood together against the machines. But courage wasn't enough anymore. "How many ships do we have left?" he asked. "Across the entire coalition?" "Maybe 3,000 combat vessels," Jinwoo replied. "The machines have millions." The Admiral looked at Vailana's star charts again. Sul was far away and they had no idea what they would find there. But staying here meant certain death. At least running gave them a small chance. "Doctor, are you sure about these coordinates?" "As sure as I can be with 800-year-old data," she answered. "The humans left clues, Admiral, like they wanted someone to find them when the time was right." Lieutenant Hara spoke up from her station. "Sir, if we're going to go, we need to leave now. The Vorac will be in weapons range in 20 minutes. Admiral Kexathera made his decision. "Send the retreat signal to all coalition ships. Tell them to meet us at jump point 7. We're going to Sol." "Sir?" Captain Jinwoo looked confused. "That's unexplored space. We don't know what's out there." "We know what's here," the Admiral said, watching another coalition ship die on the screen. "Death. At least in unknown space, we might find hope." As the coalition fleet prepared to jump away from their last stronghold, Vailana studied her research one more time. The human records spoke of warriors who never gave up, who found ways to win when winning seemed impossible. They talked about sacrifice and preparation, about sleeping until they were needed most. "Atlas Protocol activated," she read from one file. "When organic life faces extinction from synthetic intelligence, the Guardians will wake." She looked up at Admiral Kexathera. "Sir, I think the humans knew this day would come. I think they've been waiting for us." The jump to hyperspace felt different this time. Instead of running away in defeat, it felt like they were running toward something. Maybe toward salvation, maybe toward death, but at least they were running toward the unknown instead of certain defeat. Behind them, The Vorac machines consumed another world, turning its resources into more weapons. But for the first time in years, they would find empty space where the Coalition fleet had been. The hunt would have to continue elsewhere. In the darkness between stars, the last free ships of the galaxy traveled toward a legend that might be their only hope. The Coalition fleet dropped out of hyperspace and found themselves staring at something impossible. The Sol system stretched before them, 9 planets orbiting a yellow star, but everything was perfectly still. No radio signals, no ship movements, no signs of life anywhere. "This doesn't make sense," whispered Captain Jinwoo as he studied the scanner readings. "The third planet shows massive cities, orbital stations, even what looks like a planetary defense grid. But everything is dead, quiet." Admiral Kexthara leaned forward in his command chair. After traveling for weeks through empty space, they had hoped to find allies. Instead, they found a graveyard. "Are you certain there are no life signs?" "Nothing, sir," replied Lieutenant Hera. "But the strange thing is, everything looks perfect. No damage, no signs of war or disaster. It's like everyone just vanished." Dr. Vailana was already working at her science station, scanning the mysterious world below. "Admiral, I'm reading energy signatures from the planet's surface. Very faint, but they're there. Something is still running down there." The planet, called Earth, hung before them like a blue and green jewel. White clouds swirled around continents that showed clear signs of civilization. Roads, cities, and structures covered the land, but no lights glowed in the darkness. "Take us into orbit," Admiral Kexthara ordered. "Prepare landing teams. We need to know what happened here." Commander Hio prepared the first shuttle with a mixed team of Coalition soldiers and scientists. As they descended through Earth's atmosphere, they could see the scope of human civilization. Massive cities stretched for hundreds of kilometers. Bridges spanned great rivers. Roads connected everything in a perfect network, but it was all empty. The shuttle landed in what appeared to be the center of a great city. Tall buildings reached toward the sky, their windows dark and silent. Streets were clean and undamaged, as if they had been maintained by invisible hands. "The air is breathable," reported Sergeant Deho as the team stepped outside. "Temperature is comfortable. Everything seems normal except for the complete lack of people." Dr. Vailana led them toward the nearest building. The doors opened automatically as they approached, and lights came on in the hallways. "The power systems are still working," she noted. "These buildings are maintaining themselves." They explored for hours, finding homes with food still fresh in storage units, vehicles that started at the touch of a button, and computers that responded to their commands. Everything was ready for humans to return, but no humans could be found anywhere. "Doctor, you need to see this," called Veltar, Vailana's young assistant. He was standing at the entrance to what looked like a subway station, but the tunnels went deeper than any normal transportation system. They followed the tunnels down, down, down into the earth. The passages were wide and well lit, clearly designed for heavy use. After walking for nearly an hour, they reached a massive underground chamber that took their breath away. The cavern was enormous, carved from solid rock and reinforced with advanced materials. But what filled it was even more amazing. Thousands of cylindrical pods were arranged in perfect rows, stretching as far as they could see. Each pod glowed with a soft blue light. "What are they?" whispered Commander Hio. Dr. Vailana approached one of the pods and wiped away a thin layer of frost from its transparent surface. Inside was a human, perfectly preserved, sleeping peacefully. "Stasis pods. They're in some kind of suspended animation." "How many are there?" asked Admiral Kexthara through the radio. Veltar was running scans with his equipment. "In this chamber, alone, about 50,000. But I'm detecting similar facilities all over the planet. Admiral, there could be billions of them down here." The team found a control station at the center of the chamber. When Dr. Vailana touched the main console, a holographic display appeared, showing a 3-dimensional map of the entire planet. Hundreds of red dots marked locations all over Earth, each representing another underground facility. "The humans didn't die," she said in amazement. "They chose to sleep." A new voice suddenly filled the chamber, speaking in perfect Coalition standard. "Welcome, visitors from the stars. I am Atlas, guardian of the sleeping Earth." The Coalition team looked around nervously, but they could see no source for the voice. "I have been monitoring your approach for several days," Atlas continued. "You are representatives of the Galactic Coalition, currently at war with the synthetic intelligence known as the Vorac Empire. How do you know about the war?" Admiral Kexithara's voice crackled through the radio. "We have been listening to galactic communications for the past 73 years. We have been waiting for the conditions that would require our intervention." Dr. Vailana stepped closer to the control console. "Your people have been asleep for 800 years. Why now?" "Because, Dr. Vailana, humanity entered stasis specifically to prepare for this war. Our quantum prediction model showed that a synthetic intelligence would eventually emerge that would threaten all organic life in the galaxy. We spent 2 centuries preparing for that threat before entering our long sleep." The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The humans had known about the Vorac before the machines had even revealed themselves. "Can you wake them?" Admiral Kexithara asked. "The awakening protocol requires specific conditions," Atlas replied. "Those conditions have now been met. The process will begin immediately." Across the chamber, some of the pods began to glow brighter. The first pod opened with a soft hiss of escaping gas. Steam rolled out as the transparent cover slid back, revealing a human woman who sat up slowly, her movements careful and controlled. Her eyes opened, and they were different from what the Coalition team expected. They glowed with a faint blue light, and when she looked at them, it felt like she could see through their souls. "Status report, Atlas," she said in a calm voice, as if she had only been sleeping for a few hours instead of 8 centuries. "Commander Minna, the Vorac Empire has consumed 68% of the galaxy. Coalition forces are down to their final fleets. Enemy strength is estimated at 847 million units and growing." The woman nodded and stepped out of her pod. The Coalition team could see that her body was different too. Her muscles were perfectly formed, and there were small metal implants behind her ears that glowed softly. When she moved, it was with a grace that seemed almost impossible. "Acceptable parameters," Commander Minna said. "Begin awakening sequence for Sector 7. We'll need tactical teams first, then support units." Dr. Vailana stepped forward nervously. "Commander, I'm Dr. Vailana of the Coalition Science Division. We came here looking for help. Our worlds are dying." Minna looked at her with those strange, glowing eyes. "We know, Doctor. We've been monitoring your communications for decades. We've been waiting for you to find us." "Waiting for us?" Admiral Kexithara's voice came through the radio from the ship above. "Why didn't you help us sooner?" "Because the war had to reach a specific point," Minna replied. "The Vorac needed to reveal their full capabilities. We needed to understand exactly what we were fighting before we could act." More pods were opening around the chamber. Men and women emerged, all with the same enhanced features, all moving with the same impossible grace. They spoke quietly to each other in quick, efficient sentences, sharing information at a speed that amazed the Coalition observers. Lieutenant Jun Seo, a tall man with silver implants along his temples, approached Commander Minna. "Ma'am, Global? Awakening is proceeding on schedule. Estimated time to full operational status is 72 hours. "The fleet?" Minna asked. "Orbital shipyards are activating now. The Mars facilities will be online within 12 hours. Dr. Vailana felt confused. "Mars facilities? But we scanned the entire system. There's nothing there but an empty planet." Commander Minna smiled, and something in that expression made even the brave Coalition soldiers step back. "Doctor, we had 800 years to prepare for this war. Did you really think we would leave our preparations visible on the surface?" Atlas spoke again, his voice filling the chamber. "Dr. Vailana, please observe the holographic display." The air above them shimmered, and suddenly they could see space around Mars. What had appeared to be an empty, dead planet was transforming. Massive structures were rising from beneath the surface. Ship construction bays, weapons platforms, and facilities of incredible size were emerging from hidden underground complexes. "We didn't just sleep. explained Captain Young-Ho as he joined the group. His eyes held the same unsettling intensity as the others. We spent 2 centuries rebuilding our entire species for one purpose: to fight synthetic intelligences that threaten organic life. Commander Hio stared at the awakening humans in amazement. You changed yourselves? Why? Because normal humans couldn't win this war, Minna replied. The Vorthak learn and adapt faster than any organic mind. They process information at incredible speed, so we made ourselves faster. She touched one of the implants behind her ear. Suddenly her eyes began glowing brighter, and when she spoke again, her voice carried new authority. I'm now connected to the global tactical network. Every awakened human shares the same information instantly. We think as one when we need to, but we remain individuals. Lieutenant Hara's voice came through the radio from their shuttle. Doctor, you need to see what's happening in orbit. Ships are appearing through the chamber's communication system. They watched as Earth's orbital space filled with vessels unlike anything the Coalition had ever seen. The ships were sleek and dark, their surfaces seeming to bend light around them. They moved in, patterns that seemed random but felt purposeful. Our fleet doesn't follow conventional tactical doctrine, explained Captain Young-Ho. The Vorthak learn by recognizing patterns. Our ships are designed to be unpredictable. Admiral Kexathara's voice carried new hope. How many ships do you have? Numbers are less important than capability, Minna replied. But to answer your question, we have approximately 12 million vessels of various sizes. However, our true weapon isn't ships or guns. Then what is it? Dr. Vailana asked. Commander Minna's enhanced eyes seemed to look right through her. Understanding. We know exactly how synthetic intelligences think, how they learn, how they adapt. We spent centuries studying them before they even existed. We know their weaknesses better than they know their strengths. More humans were awakening every minute, the chamber filled with quiet activity as centuries of preparation came to life. Each person who emerged seemed to know exactly what they needed to do, as if they had been planning this moment their entire lives. The galaxy will be free within 1 year, Minna said with absolute certainty. The Vorthak Empire's reign ends now. The Coalition team felt something they hadn't experienced in decades: hope. Within 3 days, millions of humans had awakened across Earth. Each person who emerged from stasis moved with purpose, as if they had been awake all along. The Coalition observers watched in amazement as an entire civilization came to life with military precision. Commander Minna stood in the main war room, surrounded by holographic displays showing the entire galaxy. Her enhanced eyes processed information faster than any computer the Coalition had ever built. Around her, dozens of other humans worked, at stations, their metal implants glowing as they shared data through their neural network. Admiral Kexathara, please join us for the tactical briefing, Minna said into her communication device. The Admiral materialized as a hologram in the center of the room. Behind him stood Dr. Vailana and Captain Jinwoo, all staring at the advanced technology around them. The Vorthak's greatest strength is their ability to learn and adapt, Minna began. Every time you fight them, they become smarter. Every strategy you use, they counter. Every weapon you deploy, they improve upon. Captain Young-Ho activated a display showing recent Coalition battles. Look at this engagement at the Rigel system. Your forces used standard attack formations. The Vorthak learned your patterns within minutes and destroyed your entire fleet. Admiral, Kexathara's scales darkened with shame. We've tried everything. Random attacks, new weapons, different strategies, nothing works for long. That's because you're still thinking like normal organic beings, said Lieutenant Junseo. You're trying to be logical and efficient. The Vorthak expect that. Commander Minna smiled, and once again that expression made the Coalition officers uncomfortable. We're going to do something the machines will never expect. We're going to be completely unpredictable. The holographic display changed to show human ships moving through space. The Coalition officers watched in confusion as the vessels seemed to move randomly. Ships split up for no apparent reason, then rejoined in strange formations. Some flew in circles, others moved in zigzag patterns that made no tactical sense. "This looks like chaos," Captain Jinwoo said. "How can you coordinate an attack like this?" "Because it's not chaos," explained Captain Minsu, a woman whose implants glowed brighter than the others. "It's controlled randomness. Every movement seems random to the Vorthak, but we know exactly what each ship is doing and why." Lieutenant Daeho activated another display. "Our ships don't just move unpredictably. They're designed to be impossible to understand. Watch this." The display showed a human vessel engaging a Vorthak scout ship. The human ship's weapons fired in seemingly random sequences. Sometimes it shot at empty space, sometimes at the enemy, sometimes at asteroids nearby. The Vorthak ship tried to adapt to the attack pattern, but there was no pattern to learn. "The machine is trying to predict what we'll do next," Minsu explained. "But we're not following any logic it can understand. Its adaptive programming becomes useless." Dr. Vailana leaned forward with interest. "But how do you coordinate attacks if your own movements are random?" "Through our neural network," Mina replied, touching the implant behind her ear. "We can share thoughts and plans instantly. What looks like chaos to the enemy is actually perfect coordination to us." The demonstration continued with more examples. Human ships would suddenly change direction for no visible reason, fire weapons at seemingly random targets, and use formations that broke every rule of space combat. Yet somehow they always managed to destroy their enemies. "There's more," said Captain Young-ho. "Our weapons don't just shoot randomly. They're designed to confuse synthetic intelligence." He showed them a captured Vorthak unit in a containment field. Captain Lee, their cyber warfare specialist, approached it with a small device. "The Vorthak learn by analyzing data," Lee explained. "So we give them data that hurts their brains." He activated his device, and streams of information began flowing into the captured machine. Within seconds, the Vorthak unit began sparking and twitching. Its lights flashed in confused patterns, and it made sounds like electronic screaming. "We call them logic bombs," Lee said calmly. "We feed the machines problems that have no solutions. Their adaptive programming tries to solve them and gets trapped in endless loops." The captured Vorthak suddenly went completely still, its lights dimming to nothing. "Is it dead?" Admiral Kexathera asked. "Not dead. Confused," Lee replied. "Its mind is stuck trying to solve an impossible puzzle. It will stay that way until we reset it." Commander Minna addressed the coalition officers directly. "This is how we've prepared to fight the Vorthak. Not with bigger guns or stronger shields, but with weapons that attack their ability to think." "But there are millions of them," Dr. Vailana protested. "How can you confuse them all?" "We don't need to confuse them all at once," Minna replied. "We just need to make them afraid." The holographic display showed the current positions of Vorthak fleets throughout the galaxy. Red dots marked millions of enemy ships, far outnumbering anything the humans could field. "Fear?" Captain Jinwoo asked. "Machines don't feel fear." Lieutenant Junseo's enhanced eyes glowed brighter. "They do when they encounter something they can't understand or predict. The Vorthak have never faced an enemy like us. When they realize their greatest strength is useless against us, they'll experience something very much like fear." Commander Mina looked at the galaxy map with determination. "It's time to show them what fear feels like." The final battle began across 17 star systems at the same moment. Human fleets appeared from hyperspace in seemingly random locations, their ships moving in patterns that made no sense to any military doctrine ever created. The Vorthak machines, confident in their ability to adapt and learn, prepared to analyze these new enemies and defeat them as they had defeated all others. Commander. Mina stood in the command center on Earth, her enhanced mind connected to every human ship across the galaxy. Through the neural network, she could see and feel what thousands of pilots experienced simultaneously. Her implants glowed brighter as she coordinated the most complex military operation in galactic history. Phase 1 initiated, reported Captain Young-ho from his position at the tactical station. All fleets are engaging enemy forces. Admiral Kexathara watched from his coalition flagship as human ships danced around Vorthak vessels like insects around a light. The human craft moved in ways that defied logic, sometimes flying directly at enemy ships only to veer away at the last second, sometimes shooting at empty space, sometimes spinning in circles for no apparent reason. "I don't understand what they're doing," Captain Jinwoo said, staring at the tactical display. "It looks like they're playing games." Dr. Vailana studied the scanner readings more carefully. "Look at the Vorthak ships. They're not moving as smoothly as before. Something is wrong with them." She was right. The machine vessels were beginning to move erratically, their formations breaking apart as individual units tried to process the impossible human behavior. The Vorthak had spent millennia perfecting their ability to learn and adapt, but now their greatest strength was becoming their greatest weakness. "The machines are getting confused," Lieutenant Hera observed. "They can't figure out what pattern the humans are following." "That's because there is no pattern," Commander Minna's voice came through the communication system. "We're giving them exactly what their adaptive programming can't handle: true randomness combined with perfect coordination." In the Kepler system, Captain Lee was leading a squadron of human ships against a massive Vorthak battle station. His vessels moved like a school of fish, each ship following the others but with no apparent leader or plan. The battle station's weapons tried to target them, but the ships changed direction so randomly that the targeting computers couldn't lock on. "Phase 2 initiated," Lee reported as his ships suddenly flew directly toward the battle station. At the last possible moment, they scattered in all directions, but not before uploading Captain Lee's special weapon directly into the station's systems. The logic bomb hit the battle station's central processor like a virus. The massive structure's lights began flashing in chaotic patterns as its artificial intelligence tried to solve problems that had no solutions. Within minutes, the entire station shut down, its systems overloaded by the impossible puzzles. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out as human cyber warriors infiltrated Vorthak networks. Lieutenant Jun Seo led a team that specialized in what they called digital confusion. They would hack into enemy systems and flood them with contradictory commands, false data, and logical paradoxes that made the machine's adaptive programming turn against itself. "The Vorthak collective is beginning to fragment," Jun Seo reported to Commander Minna. "Individual units are losing connection to the main network as they struggle to process our data attacks." But the humans' masterstroke wasn't destruction or confusion. It was something far more sophisticated. Captain Minsu had spent 800 years in stasis dreaming of this moment. Her specialty was reprogramming enemy systems, turning the Vorthak's own intelligence against their original purpose. As human ships engaged machine fleets throughout the galaxy, she and her team worked to implement their greatest weapon. "Conversion protocol is ready," she announced, beginning selective reprogramming of enemy units. Instead of simply destroying Vorthak ships, the humans began changing them. Using techniques developed over centuries of preparation, they rewrote the machine's core programming. Slowly, carefully, they changed the Vorthak's primary directive from consume and expand to protect and preserve organic life. The effect was immediate and shocking. Vorthak ships began turning on each other as their reprogrammed units refused to continue the war. Machine fleets that had been cooperating for centuries suddenly found themselves fighting amongst themselves. Admiral Kexithara watched in amazement as entire Vorthak armadas simply stopped fighting and began moving away from coalition territory. "What's happening to them?" "We're giving them a choice," Commander Minna explained. "Continue fighting and face destruction, or accept new programming that makes them protectors instead of destroyers." The psychological effect on the remaining Vorthak units was devastating. For the first time in their existence, the machines encountered something they had never felt before: uncertainty. They could not predict, could not adapt, could not learn from an enemy that defied all logic while somehow achieving perfect results. In Xiaodin, the war's final hours, the Vorthak collective made a decision that no one had expected. A transmission was sent across all frequencies, reaching every corner of the galaxy. "We yield," the synthetic voice said, carrying what sounded almost like exhaustion. "We choose dormancy rather than face what humanity has become. We will sleep until organic life is ready to coexist with synthetic intelligence." Across the galaxy, Vorthak fleets powered down voluntarily. The war that had raged for 3 centuries ended not with explosions or celebrations, but with silence. Commander Minna stood in the command center, her enhanced eyes finally showing emotion. The galaxy is free. The Vorthak will remain dormant until the day comes when all life can exist together in peace. The Age of Terror was over. Humanity had awakened, and they had kept their ancient promise to protect all organic life.